After having a day and a half to mull this one over, I can safely say that the Denver Broncos bounced back in a big way after dropping a game to the LA Chargers. Everything that I hoped would happen at the end of the LA episode, go back and watch that for context, ended up happening, though maybe not in the ways it would, or I thought it would, at least offensively. I'll get into all of that and more in this episode of Crushing It, so stay tuned. Of course, if you're all enjoying the show, let me know by subscribing, liking the video, and commenting what you think about the Broncos' 33-10 win over the Saints. Over 90% of my viewers are unsubscribed, or about 90, and you can help to change that. Yeah, you in the audience. You there, you can help. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Broncos started out the game with 13 unanswered points on the board in the early going off of Will Lutz's leg from 46 out first, then from 32, before the offense punched it in on a Javonte Williams 8-yard run, his first of the day. The two teams then exchanged field goals in the late first half, and the Broncos took a 16-3 lead into the locker room. The second half would see the Orange and Blue Brigade go on a 17-point unanswered run. Will Lutz nailed a 38-yard field goal before Javonte Williams ran in his second score of the day from 5 out. The Broncos scoring would be capped off by Cody Barton running a fumble back 52 yards. Look at just how immaculately beautiful this is right here, and that would put the cherry on top of a dominant day defensively. The Saints would get a consolation touchdown in the waning moments of the game as relief quarterback Jay Kaner found Cedric Wilson Jr. from 12 yards out, and this would lead to the final score of 33-10. Bo Nix had a bit of an odd day. His passing stat line wasn't amazing. He missed a wide-open Lucas Kroll on a perfectly set-up play and nearly threw what should have been at least a pick for the Honey Badger. Otherwise, I think he did what he had to with his arm. He was dynamic with his legs all game, however, and seeing a design quarterback run called in short yardage was just mwah. Overall, he was an unremarkable 16 for 26 for 164 yards through the air, while he had 10 carries for 75 yards, accounting for 239 total yards of offense. I thought he looked fine, and he really didn't need to do anything profound to help Denver beat the crap out of the Saints. So, we'll take it. I'm only going to touch on the receiving game, mostly because I want to highlight Troy Franklin. It was great to see him get both targets and catches, and he ended the day as the leading receiver with 5 catches for 50 yards. I think the game against LA got him a bit of confidence going with that touchdown catch, so seeing him come out and build on that was incredibly, just irreversibly positive. I hope he continues to have better and better games in tandem with Vele and Sutton and Reynolds when he gets back. Though I think that you certainly have to keep Troy Franklin in the lineup if he continues to build momentum, and we'll see what he can do going into Carolina, who, as I record this, are losing 17-0 to Washington. Yeah, this video is taking a second to make. Now, on the other side of the offense, let me tell you, Denver ran the ball, and they ran the ball well, and that's not something that I thought I'd get to say this year in this capacity. Javonte Williams made me eat my goddamn words about him last week to the tune of 14 carries, 88 yards, and a pair of scores to separate the Broncos from the Saints. McLaughlin and Estime made the most out of their relief opportunities, though Estime did lose a fumble. In the grand scheme of things, it didn't cost anything, but that is a quick, easy way to lose your coach's trust in you, and that has kind of been an issue, the only issue I've had with Estime thus far this season, because he has super limited carries, but he's already got 2 fumbles, and that is extremely worrying. If he can learn to hold on to the ball, I think Estime is going to be a beast. Now, offensively, to an extent, I think this is exactly what Denver's been trying to do all season. The formula was simple: run the ball, let Bo make a few tosses when he needed, and it worked. I'm still not thrilled with the lack of third down efficiency. 4 for 11 is really the only black mark that I can put on this performance from a numbers perspective, though that is somewhat better than weeks past. Okay, you know what? Nope, fuck it. I'm angry. I'm going to throw a fit with graphs. Here's a chart illustrating the Broncos' inefficiency on third down thus far, x-axis being game by game, y-axis being percentage of third down converted in those games. The average third down rate conversion is 38.43% through Thursday of Week 7, though correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Adding these numbers is incredibly tedious. Anyway, through 7 weeks, the Broncos have not even hit league average in any of their games, getting closest against the New Orleans Saints this week. And what do these average out to? A paltry 26.4%. The Broncos cannot convert nearly 75% of their third down opportunities. They are ranked accordingly in this category at 31st, and as of after Thursday Night Football, but before Sunday, the only team that was worse than them was the Browns at an appalling 19.2%. All right. My rant over? Yep, I'm done ranting. For now. Other than third downs, I think the Broncos actually operated the offense they've wanted to all year, just like I said earlier. They ran the ball with great efficiency, hitting 6.4 yards per carry as a team, and they got some work from multiple bodies. Bo made plays with his legs, he converted a third down with his legs on a designed run, and that helped make an impact overall on the game. Javonte looked like the Javonte of old, for real this time, and the offense truly had a rebound game against the worst defense in the NFL, as they should have. I feel good about where this team is headed offensively, and Troy Franklin building off of his effort against the Chargers makes me feel better about his continued development. I think you have to keep him in the lineup going forward, even when Josh Reynolds comes back from IR. Defensively, I loved what I saw. Absolutely adored. They held the Saints under 300 yards, gave up less than 100 rushing yards, although I could attribute that to the Saints moving away from the run as the game got more and more out of hand. As a team, the Saints averaged 4.6 yards per carry, which doesn't bode super well for the defense, but hey, win's a win. The pass rush, however, was all over Rattler, racking up 6 sacks as a unit. Nick Bonito continues a 5-game sack streak, while Cody Barton, Justin Strnad, Jaquan McMillan, and JFM notched one of their own. Zach Allen and Jonah Ellis split a sack down the middle as well. The pass defense was solid in the absence of Patrick Surtain for what is essentially the second straight game, giving up 210 yards through the air if we're looking at raw passing numbers without the numbers they lost from sacks. They sort of let off the gas when Jake Haener was in the game, but that's to be expected when you're winning by the margin they were. All in all, this performance was a nice bounce-back game, and I expect things to be back to normal when Pat Surtain returns to the lineup. And I imagine that we'll see him back against Carolina, which will be a nice confidence boost to the defense, yada yada yada, cliche. Overall, this is the exact game the Broncos needed, I think, to bounce back after a frustrating loss. The offense did everything it needed to do, even if they left some points on the table. Bo in particular was inaccurate on some big throws that could have netted the team even more points, and I attribute that to footwork up to this point. I still think we need to be patient, as we should be with a rookie quarterback. Courtland Sutton didn't get targeted at all, which in the grand scheme of things was fine, but you'd like to see your number one guy get some grabs against what has been just an abysmal Saints defense this season. While I know that the pass game has not been what we've wanted to see, I'm fine with the bumps if it means continued development and long-term gains, as opposed to short-term gratification. Besides, I feel better knowing that Sean Payton has gotten the best out of quarterbacks before. I think he did the best he could with an aging Russell Wilson last year, and I still look back to what he did with Teddy Bridgewater for 5 games back in 2019, which that offense had weapons. That still gives me hope as we continue to go along. Given that it seems that Franklin may finally be getting his mojo, I'm excited to see what Bo could do with his former collegiate weapon. Perhaps it opens Sutton up more as well, but we're going to have to see on that one. This is still, by all measures, a rebuilding team. Being over 500 through 7 games for the first time since 2016 feels like a goddamn miracle, given the circumstances this season, and especially compared to last season. And this team hasn't even scratched the surface of what they can do yet. I am very confident moving forward with this team in future seasons as they continue to build what they've got going. I feel the same about the defense as well, that they are making positive strides in a good direction. Nick Bonito is showing out so far, getting up to 5 sacks rather quietly, and, hear me out, showing shades of the old Von Miller. I know, big comparison, I know, but I'm bold enough to make it. I think he has the bend and finesse to replicate that sort of play, and I think that it's starting to materialize. Zach Allen has been an underrated stud, and the linebackers have been a pleasant surprise this year. Singleton was playing decent ball before he got hurt, and since then Barton and Strnad have stepped up beautifully in his place. Secondary has been leagues better than what anyone thought it could be, with Riley Moss breaking out this season, and McMillan continuing to hold down the nickel spot to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. The scary part is that this unit can still improve. The run defense is still a little leaky at times, and I think the interior defensive line is the weakest spot on this side of the ball. Even with that being the case, this is a unit that is proving people wrong. I think they'll get their real test soon with Baltimore and Kansas City back-to-back. I don't expect to win either of these games, but I certainly think that it's possible with how the defense is played. The Chiefs are more vulnerable this year than they've ever been with Patrick Mahomes behind center, which does give me a slight glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, Denver's defense could do enough to win that game. But these are just my takes. As always, let me know how you feel in the comments below, and I'll see you all next week. Love y'all, and have a wonderful work week. I know a lot of us are going back to work. I'm going back to work. So hope everyone has a good work week, and I will see you all next Sunday. Peace out.